My name is Margaret Whitmore, but everyone calls me Maggie. I'm 72 years old, a retired schoolteacher from Ohio, and I thought I had lived long enough to see most things life could throw at me. But nothing could have prepared me for the night I woke up in a hospital bed, broken ribs aching, head pounding, and the sound of my daughter-in-law's voice slicing through the silence like a knife. I lay still, eyes barely open, pretending to be asleep. Clara, my son's wife, stood near the doorway whispering, "If only she hadn't made it through the crash, Tom. The car and the money would have been ours already." My heart froze. My own daughter-in-law, the woman I had welcomed into my family, the one I had trusted with my son's happiness, was wishing I had died. I couldn't move. My breath grew shallow. Was she serious? Or was it just anger talking? No, her tone wasn't angry. It was cold, calculating. The beeping machines in the room felt louder. I wondered if they could hear the wild pounding of my heart. I thought about the car, the gleaming red Ferrari that had belonged to my brother George. It was worth $2 million, but to me it was more than money. It was George's memory, a piece of him still alive. And now I realized it was also the reason someone I loved wanted me gone. I kept my eyes closed as Clara continued.
She's weak.
It's only a matter of time. Once she's gone, we'll handle everything. Tom's voice trembled. Clara, please. That's my mother. But Clara hushed him. Do you want your daughter's future secured or not? That car is the key. In that moment, a chill ran down my spine. Not only was Clara capable of betrayal, she was capable of plotting. Suddenly, the accident didn't feel like an accident anymore. Every image replayed in my mind, the screech of tires, the sudden swerve, the world spinning into blackness. Had she wanted me to die in that crash? I wanted to scream, to confront her right there. But my body was weak, and my spirit told me to wait. If Clara truly wished me dead, I had to be careful. I had to survive long enough to uncover the truth. I tell you this, if you've ever trusted someone in your family without question, you may understand the sting of hearing their true heart when they think you're not listening. That sting can cut deeper than any blade. I lay there, still as stone, tears sliding down my face silently. My daughter-in-law thought she had me fooled. But I was alive, and now I was listening. The real question was, how much darker was her plan going to get? Before the accident, my life had been quiet and ordinary. I spent my mornings tending my small garden, afternoons sipping tea on the porch, and evenings knitting by the fire. I didn't need much. My pension from teaching was enough. My late husband had left me our home. I thought my days would pass peacefully until God called me home. The only unexpected blessing in my life was my brother George. He was my opposite, bold, adventurous, and wealthy beyond measure. While I saved every penny, he collected cars. Gleaming, powerful machines that turned heads wherever he went. He never married, never had children. I was his only close family, George, and I used to laugh about his obsession. You'll be the only schoolteacher in Ohio with a Ferrari one day, Maggie, he teased. I'd roll my eyes and tell him I wouldn't even know how to start one. When George passed suddenly from a heart attack, I was heartbroken. The grief hung heavy, but at least I thought his affairs would be simple. I never once imagined his collection would change the course of my life. A week after his funeral, as I sat alone with my memories, there was a knock on my door. Standing there was a lawyer I had never seen before, holding a stack of papers. His expression was calm but serious. "Mrs. Whitmore," he said, "your brother left something for you." I blinked, confused. "For me?" He nodded. "Not just something. A gift. A responsibility." He handed me the documents, and my hands trembled as I flipped through them. The words barely made sense at first, but then they burned themselves into my mind. George had left me his rare Ferrari, the one valued at $2 million. My knees nearly gave out. Why me? I was no collector, no millionaire. I was just a widow in her 70s who liked roses and hot cocoa. I didn't know then that the gift wasn't just a car. It was the spark that would set my family on fire. When I told my family about the inheritance, the room shifted like the air had changed. My granddaughter Lily, only 11, clapped her hands. "Grandma, that's so cool. You have a race car now." Her laughter filled the space, pure and innocent. My son Tom forced a smile. He looked happy for me, but I could see worry behind his eyes. "Mom, that's wow. That's huge." And Clara. Oh, Clara. She leaned forward, her eyes gleaming like polished glass. She wrapped her arm around Tom's shoulder and spoke sweetly. "That's wonderful, Maggie. We'll help you take care of it. Such a big responsibility for you." Her words sounded kind, but her tone carried something else. Hunger. I laughed nervously. "Thank you, Clara, but I can manage. George would want me to look after it." Days passed, and Clara's interest in the car only grew. She'd drop hints at dinner. "Maggie, don't you think it's dangerous for you to keep something like that? Maybe you should sell it. Or, let us handle the details." I brushed it off. I wasn't ready to let go of George's memory so soon. One night, as I walked past the kitchen, I heard Clara's voice low and sharp on the phone. "That car is ours. It's just a matter of time. She can't keep it forever." I stopped cold, my back pressed against the wall, heart pounding. "Ours?" She spoke like I didn't exist. I crept back to my room silently, mind racing. For the first time, I wondered if Clara saw me as family at all, or just as a barrier standing between her and millions. It began with subtle pushes. Clara started talking more openly about selling the car. "Maggie, you don't even drive. Think about what $2 million could do for Lily's future. For the family." I smiled politely. "It's not about the money, Clara. It's George's legacy. He trusted me." Her smile tightened. "Of course. But legacies can be turned into something useful, can't they?" The pressure grew. Tom, caught in the middle, tried to reason. "Mom, maybe Clara's right. The upkeep alone." But I shook my head. I had made up my mind. The Ferrari would stay in my garage. Then one chilly night, I stepped outside to water the plants and froze. The garage door was wide open. My heart raced as I hurried inside. The space was empty. The Ferrari was gone. Panic ripped through me. I grabbed the phone with trembling hands and called Tom. He rushed over, Clara trailing behind him with a look I couldn't read. The police were called. Hours later, they found the car abandoned near an old warehouse. The strangest part? Insurance paperwork had already been filed in my name, except I hadn't signed anything. My stomach dropped. Someone had tried to profit from the car's disappearance, and I had a terrible suspicion who it was. At dinner the next evening, Clara set down her fork, looked me straight in the eyes, and said coolly, "Maybe you're too old to drive it anyway." Her words carried no sympathy, only challenge. After the theft scare, I couldn't shake the unease crawling through me. The police closed the case, calling it a botched attempt by strangers. But the insurance claim in my name didn't feel like a stranger's work. I decided to stay silent and watch. Clara began slipping in little comments every day. "You forget things sometimes, don't you, Maggie? It must be stressful at your age." Or, "Maybe it's time you let younger people handle things for you." She smiled while saying it, but each word felt like a shove toward the edge of a cliff. I started keeping a small notebook, writing down everything suspicious, times, dates, words. If anyone doubted me later, I wanted proof that I hadn't lost my mind. One morning, as I reached for my pill bottle, something fell off. The seal was broken. My stomach turned. Had someone tampered with my medication? I called the pharmacy, and they confirmed the pills should have been sealed. My hands shook as I put the bottle down. At dinner that night, Clara's eyes flickered toward me as I lifted my glass of water. A smirk played at her lips. Did she know that I knew? I lowered the glass slowly. For the first time, fear sat heavy in my chest. Was Clara only after the car? Or was she after me too? The night I found my pill bottle tampered with, sleep would not come. I lay in bed listening to the creaks of the old house, every sound sharper than usual. My trust was cracking like glass. Clara's smirk kept replaying in my mind. Was she slowly trying to make me doubt myself, or worse, weaken me until I couldn't fight back? The next morning, I made a choice. If no one else was going to protect me, I had to protect myself. I bought a small locked box and placed my medication inside. It was silly in a way, a 72-year-old woman locking away pills like they were gold, but peace of mind has its price. Still, the disrespect only grew. At family gatherings, Clara would cut me off mid-sentence. She'd joke about me forgetting things again, making everyone laugh while I sat there feeling smaller by the minute. Even Tom chuckled nervously, not realizing each laugh was another knife in my back. I refused to let her control the story. Quietly, I began journaling everything. I wrote down the missing car keys, the broken seal, her sharp words. A teacher's habit. Document the facts. Build the case. One afternoon, I left the house for groceries and came back to find my journal moved from its hiding place. My heart dropped. Someone had been reading it. At dinner that evening, Clara's smile seemed wider than usual. How's your little diary coming along, Maggie? Keeping track of your imagination? My fork slipped from my hand. She knew. She wanted me to know she knew. That night, fear curled up inside me. I wasn't fighting just for a car or an inheritance anymore. I was fighting for my life. What would you do if someone in your own home started watching your every move? Keep listening because the next sign of danger came in a way I never expected. I couldn't carry the weight alone anymore. I called my old friend Helen, the only person I trusted with my secret. We met at a small cafe downtown. As soon as I saw her kind eyes, I felt the tears well up. Helen, I whispered, I think Clara's trying to hurt me. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. Maggie, you need to be careful. Don't confront her yet. Watch her. Let her show you who she really is. Her words gave me strength. I decided to test Clara. The next day, I pretended to be confused, letting a comment slip about how hard it was to manage all the paperwork for the car. Clara's head snapped up. If it's too much for you, Maggie, I can help. Just sign a few papers, let me take over. It'll be easier. There it was, the hunger I'd seen in her eyes the night I told them about the inheritance. I smiled weakly and said, maybe one day. But inside, I was screaming. Later that evening, as I sorted through the mail, I found something strange. A plain white envelope with no return address. Inside was a single piece of paper with 6 words scrawled in shaky handwriting. Your accident won't be an accident. I dropped it like it burned my hands. Someone out there knew. Someone was warning me. But who? My mind raced. Was it a neighbor? A friend? Or worse, someone inside the family trying to play both sides? I locked the letter in my drawer and lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling. The walls of my own home no longer felt safe. If you received that letter, would you run or stand your ground? Keep listening because soon I realized I was already standing on the edge of something far more dangerous. The letter haunted me, but I kept it hidden. If Clara saw it, She'd twist the story and call me paranoid. I couldn't risk it. But the more I stayed silent, the bolder she became. At Sunday dinner, she snapped at me when I asked about Lily's school. Maybe you should focus on remembering your own appointments instead of mine. The room fell quiet. Tom shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. Even Lily looked down at her plate, cheeks red. Clara had planted her flag in the middle of my family, and no one dared challenge her. I started noticing smaller things too. My purse moved from where I left it, keys missing and then reappearing in strange places. The kind of tricks that make you question your own mind. One night, I woke to the sound of footsteps in the hall. I peeked through the cracked door and saw Clara moving toward the garage. In her hand, my car keys. I held my breath as she disappeared through the door, the jingle of metal echoing in the dark. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She poured me coffee and smiled, but my hands trembled as I held the cup. I knew what she had. She wasn't just circling anymore. She had the keys to George's Ferrari. She had the power to decide when my accident would happen. What would you do if the person plotting against you held the keys to your fate? Keep listening, because the day she insisted on driving me changed everything. The morning she offered to drive me to my doctor's appointment, I felt my stomach twist. Clara dangled the keys in front of me, like bait. No need to call a cab, Maggie. Let me take you. We'll take the Ferrari out, it'll be fun. Her smile was too sweet. My instinct screamed at me, but saying no would only make her suspicious. So, against every warning bell in my mind, I slid into the passenger seat of the car George had loved so much. The engine roared to life, smooth and powerful. Clara gripped the wheel like she had been waiting for this moment. At first, the drive was calm. She asked about my health, making small talk. But soon her foot pressed harder on the pedal. The world blurred outside the windows. Clara, slow down. I shouted, clutching the seatbelt. She laughed, the sound sharp and chilling. Don't be nervous, Maggie. Live a little. The car shot forward, weaving between lanes. My heart pounded, each turn sharper, faster. I begged her to stop, but she ignored me. And then it happened. A screech. A swerve. Tires screaming against the pavement. My body slammed into the door, my head snapping back. The world spun into chaos, metal crunching, glass shattering. Then, darkness. Would you trust your family behind the wheel after everything you've heard? Keep listening, because when I woke up, the truth was worse than the crash itself. When I opened my eyes again, the sterile white ceiling told me everything. I was in the hospital. My body ached, bruises screaming with every breath. But worse than the pain was the sound that drifted through the room. Clara's voice. Cold, sharp. If only she hadn't made it, Tom. The car and the money would have been ours already. My stomach turned to ice. She wasn't grieving. She wasn't worried. She was disappointed I had survived. Tom's voice cracked. Clara, stop. That's my mother. She lowered her tone, but I still caught the venom in her words.
She's weak.
It's only a matter of time. You'll thank me when it's done. I forced my body to stay still, eyes closed, pretending to sleep. Every nerve screamed to sit up and confront her, but I knew I couldn't. Not yet. The machines beeped steadily beside me, betraying my racing heart. I bit my lip to stay silent as tears slid down my cheeks. Then I felt a presence at my side. A nurse leaned close, pretending to check my four. Her hand brushed mine, slipping a folded note into my palm. I waited until the room emptied before opening it. The words inside made my breath catch. I heard everything. Do you want help? For the first time since this nightmare began, I realized I wasn't alone. Someone else knew the truth. Someone was on my side. If you had proof someone wanted you dead, would you act or stay silent? Keep listening, because the next step I took would turn suspicion into undeniable evidence. The nurse's note shook me to my core. Someone else had heard Clara's chilling words, and now I had a choice: trust this stranger or face Clara alone. That night, when she returned to my room, I kept my breathing steady, eyes shut, pretending. The nurse appeared again later, and with a quick glance around, she whispered, "My name's Dana. I believe you. We can record her if you want proof." My pulse raced. Proof. That was the only way anyone would believe me. I nodded, my lips barely moving. Over the next few days, Dana placed a small device near my bed whenever Clara visited. I stayed asleep through the visits, but my ears burned with every word. Clara whispered about insurance, about Tom being too soft, about me being a problem that needed solving. Each recording was another nail in the coffin of trust one once had in her. But the most painful moment didn't come from Clara. It came from Lily. My sweet granddaughter wandered into the room one afternoon and froze as she overheard Clara hissing into her phone. "She's useless. You'll thank me when she's gone." Lily's wide eyes filled with tears. She ran to my bed, clutching my hand. "Grandma, is it true? She wants you gone?" I pulled her close, whispering, "It's not your fault, sweetheart. But yes, I know." Her little body shook as she cried against me, and I knew then I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. I was fighting for Lily too. Would you stay quiet to protect a child, or would you risk everything to expose the truth? Keep listening, because the time for silence was ending. After Lily's tears, I could no longer delay. The nurse's recordings were enough, but the final piece came when my lawyer, Mr. Harris, visited me at the hospital. He carried a leather folder and a look of gravity on his face. "Maggie," he said softly, "your brother's estate has another layer. George left not just the Ferrari, but a trust fund in your name. The funds are locked to your well-being. As long as you're alive, you control them. If you pass," his voice trailed off. The pieces clicked in my mind. Clara didn't just want the car, she wanted the money. And she wanted it now. I gripped his hand. "She doesn't know, does she?" He shook his head. "Not yet." My heart pounded. If Clara found out, she might become desperate enough to try again. I had to act before she did. That night, Lily whispered to me, "Grandma, I'm scared of Mommy." The pain in her voice was almost more than I could bear. I hugged her close and said, "Don't worry, baby. I'll fix this. But you must be brave and say nothing for now." The recordings, the trust, Lily's fear, everything pointed in one direction. It was time to bring Clara into the light. What would you do if you had proof your own family member wanted you gone? Keep listening, because I decided to put it all on the table, and what happened next nearly tore us apart. The day came when I gathered my family in the living room. My hands shook as I sat in my old armchair, Dana the nurse and Mr. Harris at my side. Tom sat across from me, confused, while Clara leaned back on the couch, her arms crossed, a smirk tugging at her lips. "I have something to share," I began, voice trembling but firm. "And I need you to listen." Dana pressed a button, and Clara's own words filled the room. The recordings spilled every cruel thought, every greedy plan, every whisper about my death. Tom's face drained of color. "Clara, what is this?" Clara shot to her feet. "This is lies. She's twisting everything." But the evidence was undeniable. Clip after clip played until even Lily peeked out from behind Tom, her little eyes wide with fear. My voice cracked as I turned to Tom. "Son, I never wanted to believe it. But your wife, she wanted me gone." Tom buried his face in his hands. "Mom, I didn't see it. I didn't want to see it." Clara's mask shattered. She screamed, her voice raw and venomous. "You don't deserve any of this, Maggie. You were supposed to die." The words hung in the air like poison. What would you do if someone confessed their hatred in front of everyone? Keep listening, because what happened next turned my living room into a courtroom. Tom sat frozen, but Mr. Harris acted quickly. "This is attempted fraud and reckless endangerment. Maggie, you have every right to press charges." I hesitated, my heart aching. This was the woman who had married my son, the mother of my granddaughter. But then I looked at Lily, her trembling hands, her tear-streaked face, and I knew what had to be done. The police were called. Clara screamed and fought, but the evidence was clear. She was taken away in handcuffs, her voice echoing down the hallway as she shouted, "This isn't over." Silence fell when the door closed. Tom sank to his knees in front of me. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have protected you. I should have seen it." I placed my hand on his shoulder. "Tom, I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't erase the damage. We have to rebuild." The days after her arrest were heavy with shame and grief. My son carried the weight of betrayal, my granddaughter clung to me for comfort, and I tried to piece together my broken heart. Then Mr. Harris returned with final news. "Maggie, George's estate has passed fully to you. Not just the car, but everything. You have control now." I sat quietly, staring at the papers. Wealth had brought me nothing but pain. But maybe, just maybe, I could turn it into something better. What would you do if millions were suddenly yours after betrayal nearly cost you your life? Keep listening, because my final decision surprised everyone. Wealth is a strange thing. It can bring comfort, but it can also reveal the worst in people. Sitting at my kitchen table with a stack of estate papers, I felt the weight of George's legacy pressing on me. The Ferrari, the trust fund, the assets, it was all mine now. But it didn't feel like victory. It felt like survival. Tom sat across from me, his face worn with guilt. "Mom, I don't deserve your forgiveness. I let Clara twist me against you." I reached across the table, covering his hand. "Son, forgiveness isn't about who deserves it. It's about peace. And I need peace more than anything." Lily ran in, hugging my waist. "Grandma, are you safe now?" Tears burned my eyes as I kissed her forehead. "Yes, baby. Thanks to you." In the weeks that followed, I made choices that surprised even me. The Ferrari, once a symbol of greed and betrayal, I sold at auction. The glossy red machine fetched more than $2 million, its value skyrocketing in the collector's world. People gasped, expecting me to live in luxury. Instead, I set aside a large sum in a college fund for Lily. No child should ever pay for the sins of her parents. Another portion I donated to local charities, schools, hospitals, and shelters, because I had seen how greed poisons a family, and I wanted George's legacy to heal, not harm. The rest I kept modestly, enough to ensure I would never be at the mercy of anyone again. Independence, not indulgence, became my wealth. One evening, as the sun set over the Ohio fields, I sat on the porch with a cup of tea. The air smelled of lilacs, the world finally calm. I thought about Clara, her venom, her betrayal. She had tried to make me doubt myself, to erase me. But instead, she revealed the truth about who she was and about who I had to become. I smiled, not out of joy for her downfall, but out of gratitude for my survival. The final lesson settled deep in my heart. Money may expose greed, but kindness reveals true character. And though betrayal had cut me, forgiveness and strength stitched me back together. That night, I pulled my old car out of the garage. Not the Ferrari, but the simple sedan I'd driven for years. As I gripped the wheel, I felt lighter than I had in months. The Ferrari was gone, but peace had returned. I drove into the night, headlights cutting through the dark, free of Clara's shadow at last. If it were you, would you choose wealth or peace? Remember, family can test both. And sometimes, survival itself is the greatest inheritance.